Hey you, it's Michelle of You Say So Mobile Notary and Signing Services, and my YouTube channel is All Things Notary. So today I am coming with a new video. I hope that you would like, share, and subscribe to it. So today's topic is my first signing. Yes, my very first signing. How did that go? And I'm looking forward to you guys telling me in the comments below, how did your first signing go? So let's get to it. All right. So my very first signing that I had, I was extremely nervous about because of the fact, of course, I was new, right, into this industry. Of course, you know, in the past I had some real estate training, but I really never worked in the field. I was just a little bit familiar with some of the terms and what it meant to refinance. And of course, I've refinanced in the past, so I was familiar with refinancing. So finally just said, you know what, I gotta make this money. You know, I'm watching videos and seeing people make money, and I'm just like, okay, it's my time. So I gotta stop being scared. And so I accepted my very first assignment. Who was this assignment through? I think I signed up through SnapDocs. And I think it was maybe Signature Closers. I accepted the job through them. I'm gonna double check that in a minute. But nonetheless, so let me tell you. So I'm gonna check and see who that was while we're talking. So I called the person, said, hey, I'm Michelle. I'm the signing agent assigned to your closing today. And I just wanted to make sure that we're still on for this particular time. And left a message, of course, and no return call. Yeah, no return call. All right. So I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So then I sent a text message, right? So I'm like, okay, I send pretty much most of that through the text message and said, you know, pretty much, is this time okay? So she texted back finally and says, yes, that's great. You know, I apologize. I have bad reception where I live. So I'll see you then. I'm like, okay, great. So, you know, it was the closers. All right, the closers was where I got my first assignment. Okay, so I work a normal, you know, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4 job. You know, I'm a commercial sales rep during the day. So I figured I'd pick up something during the night. So anyway, so I left my day job and headed on over there because I did receive the documents the night before. So I was able to print them so I could still go to work and go straight from work to the closing. So I pull up and it's like maybe 9 acres, beautiful land. I can see off where the house was built, and it was really pretty, unfinished, you know, land. But anyway, it was really pretty. So I pull up and she's sitting in a bench in a yard. She had like 3 dogs running around. And so I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, hey, I'm here. I was like, are you ready? You know, she was like, well, my wife's not home yet. So, and I was like, well, I could just, you know, wait in my car until she gets here. I was like, and I don't know what, I was just like, have you seen your closing disclosure or your documents? And she was just like, no, I haven't seen anything. They haven't sent me anything. And I'm like, nothing? She was like, I don't know what my interest rate is. I don't know what my payment's gonna be. I haven't seen any of these documents. So her house was way up yonder, way up yonder. So I said, well, if you want to get in the car, you know, we can just look at the documents while we wait for your wife to come. And so then she was like, okay. So we're getting in the car, and I was like, well, let me just show you your closing disclosure, because this will show you, you know, how much you're financing or refinancing. That shows you your interest rate. It shows you your payment before your taxes and insurance. And then with your taxes and insurance, this is what you're paying. And then at the bottom of this disclosure, it's going to tell you, and this is how much money you need to close today. She was like, what? Wait a minute. They didn't say anything about me having to pay anything today. And I was like, uh-oh. In my head, I'm like, okay, well, we not closing today because she don't have her check. So I was like, well, do you need to talk to, you know, the finance person? She was like, yeah, I can't get in touch with her at all. And so I'm like, okay, well, I have a number. So I put up the number that I had, and I called her, and I said, hey, it's Michelle. I'm assigned to this closing, and the buyer, the signer has no idea what's going on. So can you talk to her? I'm going to put you on speaker. So she said, okay. So then I put her on speakerphone, and then she just began to go over pretty much every document. Every document, which this should have actually been done prior to me coming out to the closing. So she goes through the documents pretty much word for word, and explains to her what her interest rate is, why she's having to come to the table with money. So the lady was like, well, I'm going to have to shuffle some money around. I don't have this money, so I'm not going to be able to pay you today. Maybe I could, you know, wire it in a couple days. And so the agent was like, well, that'll be fine. Just go ahead and sign your documents, and then we'll get the wire, and then we'll fund it after we get your money. So I was like, okay. Whew, for me, because I'm like, if I don't sign these documents, I'm not getting my whole, you know, $2 they paying me. And so we go ahead and we drive back up to the house because, you know, she didn't have signal, so we had to go to the street. And so we go back up to the house, and so we're just talking, waiting for her wife to come. And she was like, well, she'll be here. She just called. She'll be here in like 5 minutes. So I'm like, okay. So she said, let's go in the house. So I get out the car. The dogs attacked me, which I love dogs, but they were really like muddy and stinky, but it was okay. So we go into the house. The wife finally, you know, shows up. I get their ID, and then we go through the documents. The wife had no idea what was going on, you know, either, because nobody had talked to her. And I think one of the reasons why they said that was because they have really bad reception. And so a lot of times they miss their phone calls, they don't get their emails and different stuff like that. So I was like, okay. So I just pulled out the closing disclosure again, and I went over it again with the wife, and, you know, just read everything. And then we signed, you know, they signed the documents and everything, and I left. And they actually gave me a tour of their house, and which was really nice of them. They were really sweet people. So that was my experience of my very first closing. I would say I was a little bit nervous. Now I was a lot bit nervous, especially when she told me that she did not know anything that was going on. She didn't know what her interest rate was, especially when she said that she didn't know she had to have money to close, because that's a big thing. If people don't have money to close, a lot of times you can't complete the signing. And so that's why I always, and with my experience now, I always go over the closing disclosure first, make sure that the numbers look right, the interest rate is right, your payment is what you guys, you know, what they discuss, as well as either what you're getting back or what you have to pay to close. So I am grateful, though, for the fact that it was my first signing, and I was able to listen to the lender or the loan officer go over pretty much all the documents with the signer. So that was pretty cool, you know, because if she hadn't have done it, then I would have had to do it, and I probably would have stumbled over some of the things. So it was a great learning experience. So now I just say, you know, when you're calling your customer and saying, hey, have you, I'm going to be, come over. Is this time okay? Do you have your IDs? Because sometimes you'll get there and they don't even have an ID. So confirm that they're okay with the time, confirm that they have their ID, and just say, hey, have you had a chance to look at your closing disclosure, or have they sent you over your closing disclosure? That way there's not really questions when you get there. You can just show them the closing disclosure, go through the documents, sign, scan your documents back, drop them in UPS or FedEx, and then you're done, right? Then you wait 30 to 45 days for your check. So that was kind of my first experience. It was my first signing, and once the signing, signing agent or the loan agent, once she went through the docs, it was smooth sailing, because all I did was say, hey, this is what this is, sign, sign, sign. So there were no questions asked or anything like that. So I'm looking forward to hearing about your very first loan signing. So like, subscribe, share the video, and I hope to see you back for many more. Hope you have a great day. Thanks.